Hello, and welcome to Bipolar Thoughts. My name is Steven, and I'll be your host. Okay, so this is like the 17th time that I've tried to make this episode, so we're going to try and get through this one without fucking up too bad, and we're just trying not to fuck up too bad. Today, we're going to talk about the role of cannabinoids in mood regulation. In the last episode, we kind of got some information, some background information into cannabinoids and different things like that. This episode, we're going to break down a little bit more kind of what the three main types of THC there are, and a little bit of information on how they affect you. We're going to get into more detail later, but this is just kind of a quick synopsis, snapshot. So the ECS and mood regulation. The ECS is the endocannabinoidal system. So one of the fundamental roles of the ECS is mood regulation. The two primary receptors in the ECS are CB1 and CB2. CB1 receptors are mainly found in the brain and the central nervous system. And they play a vital role in the modulating of mood, emotions, and stress responses. When cannabinoids like THC interact with these CB1 receptors, that's when they can alter mood, usually ranging from euphoria to relaxation. But that can also go the other direction and cause, paranoia, anxiety, different things like that, which we'll get into here in a little bit. So let's start off with Delta-9 THC. Delta-9 THC is often known as THC, is a cannabinoid famous for its psychoactive effects. When you think of weed, this is what you're thinking of. Delta-9 is like weed. It's street weed. It's what you would buy off the street. Like you call your drug dealer up, and that's what you're buying, is Delta-9. Unless they're a bad drug dealer, then you're getting shit. You're getting the Snickle Fritz. Delta-8, on the other hand, is a lesser known cannabinoid that shares structural similarities with Delta-9, only in certain ways. And it's not as lesser known as it used to be. It's a lot more popular than it used to be. It's a lot more popular because it's been found to help with things. What I've heard and found is that Delta-8 mostly helps with things like body aches or stomach problems, things like that. For me, it's generally never made any kind of difference as far as mood regulation. It is less potent than Delta-9, but it still binds the CB1 receptors in the brain, and which leads to alterations in mood and emotions. Many users report that Delta-8 THC produces a milder, more subtle high than its Delta-9 counterpart. So let me say something about that right there. If you don't live in a state where marijuana is legal, where actual weed is legal, then most of the time you're going to get something that has 0.9 or 0.3% of Delta-9 in it. So if you bought Delta-8 and it had that 0.9 in it, that's how you got that euphoric, mild or high sensation. Most Delta-8 is probably not going to do that for you. Again, everybody is different. Don't take this as the Bible, because it's not true for everyone. But most people that I have found, Delta-8 doesn't really change that much. It doesn't really change your mood that much, or give you that euphoric high, that Delta-9 does, because it doesn't have that euphoric effect to it. That comes from the Delta-9. Let's get to the next one. HHC. I hate having to try and say this because it's so hard to say. Hexahydrocannabinol. HHC is another cannabinoid that has gained attention for its psychoactive effects. It's Like Delta 8 and Delta 9, THC, HHC interacts with CB1 receptors in the brain, influencing mood and emotions. However, due to its relative novelty, ongoing research still exists to understand its effects and potential benefits fully. So the thing about HHC, when it first came out, I was like, okay, hell yeah, let's try this. And every single cart, anything that I bought that had HHC in it, it clogged. Every single one of them. The disposables, everything that I bought that had HHC in it. And this was before you could buy the flower. They didn't have HHC flower. If they did, they didn't sell it. I couldn't find it. They didn't have it here, at least. So every one of the like carts or disposals or anything like that I bought, the HHC clogged so bad I couldn't hit them. It got to the point where like one of them got so clogged that it like made the device think that I was hitting it, and I wouldn't even be touching it. It would just be sitting there, and it would all of a sudden start smoking. Smoke would start coming out of it. I was like, what the fuck? So eventually I had to get rid of that. I didn't want it exploding in my hands or in my face or anything. So, but I don't know that much about HHC. For me, I found that it's some kind of combination of all of them. Like Delta 9 by itself made me super paranoid, and it stopped doing what it used to. When I first started smoking the Delta, like actual weed, it helped with a lot of things, mood, anxiety, specifically with my bipolar, which I haven't really talked that much about, but like specifically with my bipolar symptoms, it kind of curbed my. And this is only in retrospect now. Like looking back on it, I can say that, that helped a lot with my depression. I would go days and be numb. Like the thing about the hard thing about being a kid with bipolar disorder, especially from where I'm from, and not knowing that you have bipolar disorder, and when you grow up in a place where mental health really isn't like a major aspect or a major topic of anybody's regular day, you don't notice those kind of things. So I lost my train of thought. Fuck me. I have been up for like 5 hours now, and it's only 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since like 1, and recently I found out that I have sleep apnea, and which is something else I'm gonna have to start working on, because the medicines they gave me the sleeping pills don't work. Either they're gonna have to give me something stronger, or which I don't want to do because I don't like taking pills. So now I'm gonna have to find some kind of combination, some kind of company that makes something that'll help with sleep. I've been on this 3Chi kick. This company called 3Chi here lately, because they make strands that are specifically made for like different things. Like the one I'm got right now is called Interstellar, and it's made to help with relaxation. It's like that end of the day kind of high. After you've had a long day, you come home, you smoke it. It chills you out, unless you sit on the couch and just relax. It doesn't like knock you out and put you to sleep, which they do have one that does that. It's like 99% CBN, which that CBN will do that to you. It will help knock you out, make you go to sleep. So my thought process is slowed, and I'm yawning, and it's just because I'm exhausted. I haven't slept but like 12 hours, I think, in the last 2-3 days, something like that. Anyway, so let's get back on it. So cannabinoids and stress management. Stress is an inevitable part of life, and how one manages it can significantly impact their overall well-being. Cannabinoids like Delta 8 and HHC have been studied for their potential to alleviate stress and anxiety. Research suggests that these help reduce stress's psychological and physiological symptoms, promoting a sense of calm and relaxation. Again, for me, it's always been a combination of the things. It's never been just Delta 8 maybe, relaxed, or HHC maybe relaxed, or Delta 9. It's always been some kind of combination of like, one of all three, and not just those three, but the countless other, cannabinoids that are out there now. But it's always like for what I'm smoking on right now, it's like 50% Delta 8, and then the other 50% is broken up between like HHC, CBN, CBD, CBG. There's a whole bunch in there, and a little bit of Delta 9, like the 0.3%, because that's all that's legally allowed in my state. So, yay, go America! Oh, fuck. Sorry, I'm trying my best not to do that and to just try and get through this, but again, 4 hours of sleep is starting to take its toll. And I didn't want to just keep putting this episode off, because if I do, I'll never get it done, and then it'll be 3 weeks have gone by, and I won't have gotten a fucking thing done. So, even if this is a shitty episode, I would rather produce a shitty episode than no episode. So, we're going to keep going with it. Cannabinoids and emotional regulation. Emotions are complex, and their regulation involves various neurotransmitters and brain regions. Cannabinoids like Delta 9, Delta 8, and HHC have shown promising influence in influencing emotional regulation. Some studies indicate that they may help regulate emotions by modulating the release of neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, which are associated with mood stability and relaxation. I used to take gabapentin for anxiety, and it didn't do anything. It did not help with mood stability. In fact, I felt like it blocked more neurotransmitters than it did release or connect to. So gabapentin can help do a lot of different things. It can help with anxiety. It can help with, it's usually generally meant for like nerve issues. If you have like a nerve problem, like I have facial tics, and so gabapentin could be potentially good for that, but it didn't help with my tics at all, and it didn't help as far as my mood stability or whether or not I felt any better, I guess. Individual variability. It's important to note that these effects on mood and emotions can vary widely from person to person. Factors such as the type and dose of cannabinoids consumed, an individual's unique biology, and their tolerance levels all play a role in defining how these will affect their mood. So again, it all comes down to your biological makeup. How it affects me may not affect you the same way. So anyway, let's get into some of the benefits of cannabis. We've talked enough about like the regulations or like what they kind of do. Let's get into some of the benefits of them. So like the first one, lowering blood pressure. In 2017, a study found by the JCI Insight that CBD lowered the blood pressure of human participants. It reduced their resting blood pressure as well as their blood pressure after stress tests, including mental arithmetic, isometric exercise, and the cold pressure test. I can't really say anything about that because, my blood pressure, I get angry, I get irritated, and my blood pressure will spike because of that, but I don't usually, run really high blood pressure, in a dangerous level or anything. But I'm glad, and that might be because I smoke so much. I don't know. Reducing inflammation. I'll say this one right here is kind of a hit or miss pain in the ass for me because sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. But CBD has proven to help reduce inflammation and the neuropathic pain it can cause, according to a study by the Rockefeller Institute of Medical Research. Again, I cannot attest to saying that that it's going to do that. I can't say that that's 100% true. Really, I can't say that about any of this because everything is 100% dependent on your biological makeup. how it affects me, it might not affect you the same way. Not even close. You might have the exact opposite reaction. So for me, it might not reduce inflammation. For me, it might not do shit. But for you, it might be the best fucking thing on the planet. Preventing relapse in drug and alcohol addiction. I found this to be really interesting, but it also makes sense at the same time. CBD can be useful in helping people who suffer from drug and alcohol addiction. In a preclinical trial with lab rats, it was determined that CBD reduced the stress-induced cravings, anxiety, and lack of impulse control that often causes people to relapse. I found that interesting because you're giving somebody a mind-altering substance in order to get them off of mind-altering substances. But if you think about it, that actually makes sense, because it's kind of like what they, when they given a heroin addict methadone in order to come off of it. It kind of helps curve those detox symptoms, but also keeps you from, it just weans you off of it, I guess, is the best way to say it. Treating anxiety disorders. So this is one of the main reasons why I still ingest THC. Anxiety is perhaps the most common affliction that people have used CBD for, and in a preclinical study found that CBD could be effective in treating generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll say that again, it depends on, for me, I will say that it only helps a little bit with my anxiety. As much as I would like to admit and say that it really helps my anxiety, it only helps a little bit. The obsessive compulsive disorder, I don't know that I've been diagnosed with that, but I would say that my compulsive behaviors, it does curb those a little bit. It does kind of keep me from doing too many crazy things. As far as my anxiety and in PTSD and things like that, I would say it does help outside of a social factor. If I have to go into a social setting, it doesn't really help at all. My anxiety medicine does, but if I was to not take my anxiety medicine and only rely on CBD, I'd be fucked. I can't go to functions or events or anything like that because on just CBD or THC or whatever it is, I can't. It'll actually make things worse. I'll actually be paranoid the entire time, because then I'm worried that people know that I'm stoned, or they know that I've been, excuse me. First I'm fucking yawning, now I'm burping. Can I have a fucking normal morning? God bless America. So yeah, it can help with anxiety disorders. For me, it's kind of hit or miss. It's another one of those, inflammation kind of things where it's hit or miss. For GI disorders, so that I found out, I have to have a couple of procedures dealing with my gastrointestinal. Because my biological father had Crohn's disease, I have to be very careful with watching how my gut lives, I guess. I don't know how to say that. I have to watch how I treat my gastrointestinal region, my gut, my stomach. I have to watch that because it can get real bad real quick. But a recent study found that CBD and other non-psychoactive cannabinoids can effectively be used to prevent and treat GI disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and more. CBD's anti-inflammatory properties are key to reducing and preventing symptoms. I would say that that's probably true. I would say that while it doesn't necessarily maybe it does. I would say maybe it does, because when my stomach does hurt like that, it'll soften is the word that I want to use, but that's not really the right word. It settles it. It settles my stomach down. It takes me from being nauseous, or mostly when I'm nauseous, and kind of takes that away from me. like makes me not nauseous. Preventing seizures. Decades of research have gone into using CBD to treat epilepsy and other seizure syndromes, and a recent study showed that it can have positive effects in reducing symptoms and seizure frequency. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I'm so sorry for yawning like this. This is, again, like, this is like my 6th or 7th time to try and record this, and I'm doing the best I can to try and get through it. So I'm sorry that this one sucks, but my only other option is to try and get some sleep, which I can't guarantee, and then try and do this again later. But I can't guarantee it's going to be any better later, so I'm just going to try and fight through it and get through it now. So the next thing we have is fighting cancer. Not only has, and I wish more people would take this serious, because my grandmother died of lung cancer, and if THC would have been an option, she would have tried it, and it might have helped a little bit. But because it's illegal, and because it's illegal in my state, the best I could have hoped for was CBD. But I don't know, she didn't want it. That sounds like I just contradicted myself, but CBD wasn't going to do the trick. The Delta 9 was what she needed. She needed to have that pain relief, but not just physically, she needed it mentally. And because CBD wasn't going to do it, like, I had given her some CBD treats, and they weren't working, they weren't doing anything for her. But they were straight just CBD. They had no Delta 9 in them at all. And by the time I kind of figured that out, that it was just too late, and it wasn't. I wish there was more options. I wish that marijuana was legal and THC was legal, and that people would open their fucking minds up and open their eyes up and realize that this shit actually does help, and it probably could have prevented a lot of pain in my grandmother's case. You know, she suffered a lot, and some of that probably could have been prevented had I been able to actually, bake her some weed brownies or something. But, that didn't happen. But anyway, fighting cancer. Not only has CBD been used to help alleviate the effects of chemotherapy, but studies have also found it can prevent cell growth and induce cell death in cervical cancer cell lines, and it has numerous anti-cancer effects that can help prevent a variety of cancers, treat tumors, and benefit the immune system. You should do your own research on this, because there are tons of effects and benefits as well as drawbacks. So talk to your doctor and do your research. You really need to talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert in any kind of sense of the word. All I'm doing is a little bit of research and going off of my own personal experiences. My experiences with Delta 9 have been that it made me paranoid. It didn't really, by itself, on its own, it's not the greatest for me personally. Delta 8 by itself, again, jack shit. Most of the things by themselves don't do anything for me. I have to have a combination of them, and that could be because I've, built up a tolerance. It could be because of my biological makeup. That's the thing that it all boils down to, and I've said that 100 times, and I'm going to keep saying it. Is with this, until it's researched enough and people are on board with it enough, a lot of it is hit and miss. It's just so hard to try and actually pin down, okay, this is going to help this, and, this CBD is going to help this CBD, this, and, this THC is going to help that. It's so hard to pinpoint any of that until we've got enough research, and there's just not enough research being done about it yet. So let's give some anecdotal evidence of cannabis use for symptom management. Studies in animals and humans have shown the medical effects of terpenes, which demonstrate anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, analgesic, and anticonvulsive, antidepressant, I can't even pronounce that word. Anti-cancer, anti-tumor, neuroprotective, mutagenic, they don't turn into mutants. I don't know how to say that. Anti-allergic, anti-antibiotic, and anti-diabetic attributes. It suggested that cannabinoids and terpenes have a combined effect by working synergistically with each other. This interaction between the compounds of the cannabis plant is referred to as the entourage effects, which have implications on the strains of cannabis which are bred to best treat individual symptoms and diseases. So kind of what I was just talking about. Based on the 2018 report from the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, strong evidence was reported of the positive effects of cannabis for individuals diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and chronic pain and spasticity, nausea, and vomiting due to chemotherapy, and individuals experiencing seizures. However, the report also highlighted sparse or absent evidence supporting medical cannabis for many morbidities, including neurodevelopmental conditions such as autism spectrum disorders. I'm sorry, that was a lot of information. That was a lot of me yawning and trying to stay awake. Again, I apologize. I don't know what else to say. I apologize. I feel like this was a really shitty episode, but I don't have the energy to try and redo it again. And honestly, I don't think that it's going to be any better if I try to do it again later. Because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get off of this. I'm going to edit it a little bit. By the time I'm done doing that, it's going to be fucking 10 o'clock in the morning. I've still not slept. And then my day is going to be gone. I'm going to have to start the day and do the shit I got to do for the day. So all I can say is that I hope this helped everybody, helped somebody. I hope that it gave some kind of insight, information. I hope it was information. I don't know. I hope it was fucking something. I hope it was useful in some kind of way, and it wasn't just me fucking sitting on here and rambling, because that's exactly what I felt like I've done for the last 30 minutes, and I'm a little pissed off with myself for doing it. Maybe I need to go smoke a little bit. And with that, just remember, you don't have to sit in the dark alone.